Hawaii is an island state of the United States, in the Pacific Ocean about 2,000 miles 3,200 km southwest of the U.S. mainland, one of the two non-contiguous U.S. states alongside Alaska. It is the only state not on the North American mainland, the only state that is an archipelago, and the only state in the tropics. Hawaii consists of 137 volcanic islands that comprise almost the entire Hawaiian archipelago. The exception, which is outside the state, is Midway Atoll, spanning 1,500 miles 2,400 km. The state is physiographically and ethnologically part of the Polynesian subregion of Oceania. Hawaii's ocean coastline is consequently the fourth longest in the U.S., at about 750 miles 1,210 km. The 8 main islands, from northwest to southeast, are Niihau, Kauai, Oahu, Molokai, Lanai, Kahu'ula, Maui, and Hawaii, after which the state is named. The latter is often called the Big Island or Hawaii Island to avoid confusion with the state or archipelago. The uninhabited northwestern Hawaiian Islands make up most of the Papahanaumokuki Marine National Monument, the largest protected area in the U.S. and the fourth largest in the world. Of the 50 U.S. states, Hawaii is the fourth smallest in land area and the 11th least populous, but with 1.4 million residents, it ranks 13th in population density. Two-thirds of Hawaii residents live on Oahu, home to the state's capital and largest city, Honolulu. Hawaii is one of the most demographically diverse U.S. states, owing to its central location in the Pacific and over 2 centuries of migration. As one of only 7 majority-minority states, it has the only Asian American plurality, the largest Buddhist community, 12 and largest proportion of multiracial people in the U.S. Consequently, Hawaii is a unique melting pot of North American and East Asian cultures, in addition to its indigenous Hawaiian heritage. Settled by Polynesians sometime between 1000 and 1200 CE, Hawaii was home to numerous independent chiefdoms. In 1778, British explorer James Cook was the first known non-Polynesian to arrive at the archipelago. Early British influence is reflected in the state flag, which bears a Union Jack. An influx of European and American explorers, traders, and whalers soon arrived, leading to the decimation of the once isolated indigenous community through the introduction of diseases such as syphilis, tuberculosis, smallpox, and measles. The native Hawaiian population declined from between 300,000 and 1 million to less than 40,000 by 1890. Hawaii became a unified, internationally recognized kingdom in 1810, remaining independent until American and European businessmen overthrew the monarchy in 1893. This led to annexation by the U.S. in 1898. As a strategically valuable U.S. territory, Hawaii was attacked by Japan on December 7, 1941, which brought it global and historical significance and contributed to America's entry into World War II. Hawaii is the most recent state to join the Union, on August 21, 1959. In 1993, the U.S. government formally apologized for its role in the overthrow of Hawaii's government, which had spurred the Hawaiian sovereignty movement and has led to ongoing efforts to obtain redress for the indigenous population. Historically dominated by a plantation economy, Hawaii remains a major agricultural exporter due to its fertile soil and uniquely tropical climate in the U.S. Its economy has gradually diversified since the mid-20th century, with tourism and military defense becoming the 2 largest sectors. The state attracts visitors, surfers, and scientists with its diverse natural scenery, warm tropical climate, abundant public beaches, oceanic surroundings, active volcanoes, and clear skies on the Big Island. Hawaii hosts the United States Pacific Fleet, the world's largest naval command, as well as 75,000 employees of the Defense Department. Hawaii's isolation results in one of the highest costs of living in the U.S. However, Hawaii is the 3rd wealthiest state, and residents have the longest life expectancy of any U.S. state, at 80.7 years. Etymology: the state of Hawaii derives its name from the name of its largest island, Hawaii. A common explanation of the name of Hawaii is that it was named for Hawaiʻoa, a figure from Hawaiian oral tradition. He is said to have discovered the islands when they were first settled. The Hawaiian language word Hawaii is very similar to Proto-Polynesian Sawaki, with the reconstructed meaning, homeland. Cognates of Hawaii are found in other Polynesian languages, including Ori Hawaiki, Rarotongan Avaiki, and Samoan Savai'i. According to linguists Pukui and Elbert, elsewhere in Polynesia, Hawaii, or a cognate, is the name of the underworld or of the ancestral home, but in Hawaii, the name has no meaning. Spelling of state naming: 1978, Hawaiian was added to the Constitution of the State of Hawaii as an official state language alongside English. 26. The title of the state constitution is the Constitution of the State of Hawaii. Article XV, Section 1 of the Constitution uses the State of Hawaii. Diacritics were not used because the document, drafted in 1949, predates the use of the Okina and the Kahuk in modern Hawaiian orthography. The exact spelling of the state's name in the Hawaiian language is Hawaii. In the Hawaii Admission Act that granted Hawaiian statehood, the federal government used Hawaii as the state name. However, most official state government publications, departments, and office titles use Hawaii, including the Governor of Hawaii. 29. The Hawaii State Legislature, the Hawaii State Judiciary, the University of Hawaii, the Hawaii State Seal, the Flag of Hawaii, and the Hawaii Board on Geographic Names. The Hawaii Tourism Authority's official policy is to recognize the importance of using these markings to preserve the indigenous language and culture of Hawaii and use them in all forms of communications. Geography and Environment article, Hawaiian Island. See also List of Islands of Hawaii. There are 8 main Hawaiian islands. 7 are inhabited, but only 6 are open to tourists and locals. Niihau is privately managed by brothers Bruce and Keith Robinson. Access is restricted to those who have their permission. This island is also home to native Hawaiians. Access to uninhabited Kahula Island is also restricted, and anyone who enters without permission will be arrested. This island may also be dangerous since it was a military base during the World Wars and could still have unexploded ordnance. Topography map of the Hawaiian Islands. Bathymetric map of main Hawaiian islands. The Hawaiian archipelago is 2,000 miles 3,200 km southwest of the contiguous United States. 46. Hawaii is the southernmost U.S. state and the second westernmost after Alaska. Like Alaska, Hawaii borders no other U.S. state. It is the only U.S. state not in North America, and the only one completely surrounded by water and entirely an archipelago. In addition to the 8 main islands, the state has many smaller islands and islets. Kaula is a small island near Niihau. The northwestern Hawaiian Islands is a group of 9 small, older islands northwest of Kauai that extends from Nihoa to Kure Atoll. These are remnants of once much larger volcanic mountains. Across the archipelago are around 130 small rocks and islets, such as Malakini, which are made up of either volcanic or marine sedimentary rock. Hawaii's tallest mountain, Mauna Kea, is 13,796 feet 4,205 m above mean sea level. 48. It is taller than Mount Everest if measured from the base of the mountain, which lies on the floor of the Pacific Ocean and rises about 33,500 feet 10. Geology also, Hawaii hotspot Hoho's smooth lava spills into the ocean, forming new rock. The Hawaiian Islands were formed by volcanic activity initiated at an undersea magma source called the Hawaii hotspot. The process is continuing to build islands. The tectonic plate beneath much of the Pacific Ocean continually moves northwest, and the hotspot remains stationary, slowly creating new volcanoes. Because of the hotspot's location, all active land volcanoes are on the southern half of Hawaii Island. The newest volcano, Kamiwa Kanela, formerly Elihi, is south of the coast of Hawaii Island. The last volcanic eruption outside Hawaii Island occurred at Haleakala on Maui before the late 18th century, possibly hundreds of years earlier, 50 and 1790, Kilauea exploded. It is the deadliest eruption known to have occurred in the modern era in what is now the United States. Up to 5,405 warriors and their families marching on Kilauea were killed by the eruption. Volcanic activity and subsequent erosion have created impressive geological features. Hawaii Island has the second highest point among the world's islands. On the volcano's flanks, slope instability has generated damaging earthquakes and related tsunamis, particularly in 1868 and 1975. Catastrophic debris avalanches on the ocean island volcano's submerged flanks have created steep cliffs. Kilauea erupted in May 2018, opening 22 fissure vents on its eastern rift zone. The Lalani Estates and Lanapuna Gardens are within this territory. The eruption destroyed at least 36 buildings, and this, coupled with the lava flows and the sulfur dioxide fumes, necessitated the evacuation of more than 2,000 inhabitants from their neighborhoods. Flora and fauna. A Hawaiian monk seal rests at French Frigate Shoals. A Hawaiian monk seal seen at French Frigate Shoals, located in the northwestern Hawaiian Islands, protected as part of the Papaʻaumoku Key Marine National Monument. The islands of Hawaii are distant from other land habitats, and life is thought to have arrived there by wind, waves-eye, by ocean currents, and wings-eye, birds, insects, and any seeds that they may have carried on their feathers. Hawaii has more endangered species and has lost a higher percentage of its endemic species than any other U.S. state. The endemic plant Brighemia now requires hand pollination because its natural pollinator is presumed to be extinct. The two species of Brighemia B, Rocky, and B. insignis are represented in the wild by around 120 individual plants. To ensure that these plants set seed, biologists rappel down 3,000-foot 910 cliffs to brush pollen onto their stigmas. Terrestrial ecology. The archipelago's extant main islands have been above the surface of the ocean for less than 10 million years, a fraction of the time biological colonization and evolution have occurred there. The islands are well known for the environmental diversity that occurs on high mountains within a trade winds field. Native Hawaiians developed complex horticultural practices to utilize the surrounding ecosystem for agriculture. Cultural practices developed to enshrine values of environmental stewardship and reciprocity with the natural world, resulting in widespread biodiversity and intricate social and environmental relationships that persist to this day. 61. On a single island, the climate around the coasts can range from dry tropical less than 20 inches or 510 millimeters annual rainfall to wet tropical. On the slopes, environments range from tropical rainforest more than 200 inches or 5,100 millimeters per year, through a temperate climate, to alpine conditions with a cold, dry climate. The rainy climate impacts soil development, which largely determines ground permeability, affecting the distribution of streams and wetlands. 62, 63, 64 Protected Areas in Polycoast State Park. Several areas in Hawaii are under the National Park Service's protection. 65 Hawaii has two national parks, Haleakala National Park, near Kula on Maui, which features the dormant volcano Haleakala that formed East Maui, and Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, in the southeast region of Hawaii Island, which includes the active volcano Kilauea and its rift zones. There are three national historical parks: Kalaupapa National Historical Park in Kalaupapa, Molokai, the site of a former leper colony; Kaloko Hanakau National Historical Park in Kalua Kona on Hawaii Island; and Puhanua Nanau National Historical Park, an ancient place of refuge on Hawaii Island's west coast. Other areas under the National Park Service's control include Ailakahakai National Historic Trail on Hawaii Island and the USS Arizona Memorial at Pearl Harbor on Oahu. President George W. Bush proclaimed the Papaʻaumoku Key Marine National Monument on June 15, 2006. The monument covers roughly 140,000 square miles 360,000 km2 of reefs, atolls, and shallow and deep sea out to 50 miles 80 km offshore in the Pacific Ocean, an area larger than all the national parks in the U.S. combined. 66 Climatizi also. List of Hawaii tornadoes. List of Hawaii hurricanes. And climate of Hawaii: partly cloudy conditions and a gentle breeze at 1:43 p.m. AADT. North is oriented towards the lower right in this photo, taken from the International Space Station on June 24, 2022. Hawaii has a tropical climate. Temperatures and humidity tend to be less extreme because of near-constant trade winds from the east. Summer highs reach around 88 F31 during the day, with lows of 75 F24 C at night. Winter day temperatures are usually around 83 F28 At low elevation, they seldom dip below 65 F18 at night. Snow, not usually associated with the tropics, falls at 13,800 feet 4,200 m on Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa on Hawaii Island in some winter months. Snow rarely falls on Haleakala. Mount Waialea on Kauai has the second highest average annual rainfall on Earth, about 460 inches 12,000 per year. Most of Hawaii experiences only 2 seasons. The dry season runs from May to October, and the wet season is from October to April. 68 overall. With climate change, Hawaii is getting drier and hotter. The warmest temperature recorded in the state, in Pahala on April 27, 1931, is 100 F38 tied with Alaska as the lowest record high temperature observed in a U.S. state. Hawaii's record low temperature is 12 F11 observed in May 1979, on the summit of Mauna Kea. Hawaii is the only state to have never recorded sub-zero Fahrenheit temperatures. Climates vary considerably on each island. They can be divided into windward and leeward Koolau and Kona, respectively, areas based upon location relative to the higher mountains. Windward sides face cloud cover. Environmental issues. Hawaii has a decades-long history of hosting more military space for the United States than any other territory or state. This record of military activity has taken a sharp toll on the environmental health of the Hawaiian archipelago, degrading its beaches and soil, and making some places entirely unsafe due to unexploded ordnance. According to scholar Winona LaDuque, the vast militarization of Hawaii has profoundly damaged the land. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, there are more federal hazardous waste sites in Hawaii 31 than in any other U.S. state. Hawaii State Representative Roy Takumi writes in challenging U.S. militarism in Hawaii and Okinawa that these military bases and hazardous waste sites have meant the confiscation of large tracts of land from native peoples, and quotes late Hawaiian activist George Helm as asking, "What is national defense when what is being destroyed is the very thing the military is entrusted to defend, the sacred land of Hawaii?" Contemporary indigenous Hawaiians are still protesting the occupation of their homelands and environmental degradation due to increased militarization in the wake of 9/11s. After the rise of sugarcane plantations in the mid-19th century, island ecology changed dramatically. Plantations require massive quantities of water, and European and American plantation owners transformed the land in order to access it, primarily by building tunnels to divert water from the mountains to the plantations, constructing reservoirs, and digging wells. These changes have made lasting impacts on the land and continue to contribute to resource scarcity for native Hawaiians today. According to Stanford scientist and scholar Sybil Diver, indigenous Hawaiians engage in a reciprocal relationship with the land, based on principles of mutual caretaking, reciprocity, and sharing. This relationship ensures the longevity, sustainability, and natural cycles of growth and decay, as well as cultivating a sense of respect for the land and humility towards one's place in an ecosystem. The tourism industry's ongoing expansion and its pressure on local systems of ecology, cultural tradition, and infrastructure is creating a conflict between economic and environmental health. In 2020, the Center for Biological Diversity reported on the plastic pollution of Hawaii's Kamilo Beach, citing massive piles of plastic waste. Invasive species are spreading, and chemical and pathogenic runoff is contaminating groundwater and coastal waters. History: Hawaii is one of 2 U.S. states, along with Texas, that were internationally recognized sovereign nations before becoming U.S. states. The Kingdom of Hawaii was sovereign from 1810 until 1893, when resident American and European capitalists and landholders overthrew the monarchy. Hawaii was an independent republic from 1894 until August 12, 1898, when it officially became a U.S. territory. Hawaii was admitted as a U.S. state on August 21, 1959. First human settlement: Ancient Hawaii, 10001778. Main article: Ancient Hawaii. The date of the human discovery and habitation of the Hawaiian Islands is the subject of academic debate. 84 early archaeological studies suggested that Polynesian explorers from the Marquesas Islands, or Society Islands, may have arrived as early as the 3rd century c. 85. Some archaeologists and historians think it was a later wave of immigrants from Tahiti around 1100 CE who introduced a new line of high chiefs, the kapa system, the practice of human sacrifice, and the building of heiau. 86-87. This later immigration is detailed in Hawaiian mythology Mulalo about Pa'o. Other authors say there is no archaeological or linguistic evidence of a later influx of Tahitian settlers, and that Pa'o must be regarded as a myth. 86. More recent archaeological studies further suggest that the first settlement of Hawaii was not until around 900-1200 CE. The island's history is marked by a slow, steady growth in population and the size of the chiefdoms, which grew to encompass whole islands. Local chiefs, called ali, ruled their settlements and launched wars to extend their influence and defend their communities from predatory rivals. Ancient Hawaii was a caste-based society, much like that of Hindus in India. 88. Population growth was facilitated by ecological and agricultural practices that combined upland agriculture manuka, ocean fishing makai, fish ponds, and gardening systems. These systems were upheld by spiritual and religious beliefs, like the lokahi, that linked cultural continuity with the health of the natural world. According to Hawaiian scholar Mililani Trask, the lokahi symbolizes the greatest of the traditions, values, and practices of our people. There are 3 points in the triangle: the creator, Aqua, the peoples of the earth, Kanaka Maoli, and the land, the Aina. These 3 things all have a reciprocal relationship. Possible European contact before 1778. Manila-Acapulco galleon trade route, showing onward route to Spain from 1565 to 1815. Spanish trading ships, or galleons, crossed the Pacific along a route from Acapulco in New Spain, modern Mexico, to Manila, and they made this trip once or twice yearly, using a route which was kept secret to protect the Spanish trade monopoly against competing powers. 90. Some sources speculate that sightings of, or interaction with, Hawaii must have occurred. It seems improbable that Spanish mariners could have made several hundred trips without becoming Hawaii's first European discoverers. By 1589, Ortelius was publishing the Maris Pacifici, first ever Pacific map, featuring an intriguing resemblance of the Hawaiian Islands, Los Volcanes, and La Farfania in the middle of the Pacific, by the Tropic of Cancer. The islands would therefore have been sighted by visitors to the point of being roughly mapped, long before official records would confirm. In 1743, British Commodore George Anson captured a Spanish galleon on which he found a chart of the Pacific that depicted a group of islands at the same latitude as the Hawaiian Islands, but with the longitude 10 degrees to the east. One of these islands is labeled La Mesa, the table. This is conjectured to be Hawaii Island, since this agrees very well with the appearance of Mauna Loa when seen at a great distance. Many scholars have refuted claims of Spanish knowledge of Hawaii during this period. However, based on accounts from native Hawaiian oral tradition, Oscar Spate leaves open the possibility of one-way contact, and that it is likely that Spanish castaways reached Hawaii and survived. first recorded contact drawing of single-masted sailboat with one spinnaker-shaped sail, carrying dozens of men, accompanied by at least 4 other Canosterioboa, king of Oahu, bringing presents to Captain Cook by John Webber, drawn in 1779, published in 1784. In January 1778, British Captain James Cook encountered the Hawaiian Islands serendipitously while crossing the Pacific during his 3rd voyage of exploration. This marked the first documented contact by a European explorer with Hawaii. 98. Cook named the archipelago the Sandwich Islands in honor of his sponsor, John Montagu, 4th Earl of Sandwich. Cook returned to the Hawaiian Islands in 1779 to resupply and overwinter, anchoring in Kealakekua off Hawaii Island for 1 month. Relations with the local people were peaceful, then deteriorated, and Cook was among those killed when violence broke out between the British and local Hawaiians. After Cook, Hawaii was not visited by any foreign ships for 7 years, but after 1786, visits became increasingly frequent. At the end of the 18th century, the maritime fur trade developed between the northwest coast of North America and Asia, bringing the ships of many nations to the North Pacific Ocean. The Hawaiian Islands became established as a convenient source of supplies and destination for overwintering not only for fur traders but also ships engaged in general cross-Pacific commerce. 99. 2021 historian Ralph Kuykendall has described the impact of these foreign visitors on the hitherto isolated Hawaiian Islands as an invasion, which little by little overwhelmed the old culture of the islands. 99. 12 Over the decades following the first contact, the foreign resident population slowly grew. Foreigners imported iron tools, manufactured items, and household utensils. They also introduced firearms, alcohol, tobacco, non-native plants, and inadvertently insects previously unknown to the islands such as mosquitoes and scorpions. 99. 26-28 Native Hawaiians were vulnerable to Eurasian diseases for which they had less resistance. Citation needed. 40 years after Cook's arrival, it is estimated that the native population had declined by half and continued to decline throughout the 19th century. During the 1850s, measles killed a fifth of Hawaii's people. Kingdom of Hawaiian article. Kingdom of Hawaii House of Kamehameha conquered the Hawaiian Islands and established a unified monarchy across the archipelago. During the 1780s and early 1790s, the Hawaiian Islands were divided among several warring chiefdoms. In 1795, the fighting ended when Kamehameha, then a chief ali of Hawaii Island, conquered most of the main islands in the archipelago including Maui and Oahu, then founded the Hawaiian Kingdom and the House of Kamehameha dynasty. Kauai with nearby Niihau remained independent until 1810, when it joined the Hawaiian Kingdom peacefully. 2960 After Kamehameha II inherited the throne in 1819, American Protestant missionaries to Hawaii converted many Hawaiians to Christianity. Missionaries have argued that one function of missionary work was to civilize and purify perceived heathenism in the New World. This carried into Hawaii. According to historical archaeologist James L. Flexner, missionaries provided the moral means to rationalize conquest and wholesale conversion to Christianity. But rather than abandon traditional beliefs entirely, most native Hawaiians merged their indigenous religion with Christianity. Missionaries used their influence to end many traditional practices, including the kapa system, the prevailing legal system before European contact, and heiau, or temples, to religious figures. Kapu, which typically translates to the sacred, refers to social regulations like gender and class restrictions that were based upon spiritual beliefs. Under the missionaries' guidance, laws against gambling, consuming alcohol, dancing the hula, breaking the Sabbath, and polygamy were enacted. 102 Without the kapa system, many temples and priestly statuses were jeopardized, idols were burned, and participation in Christianity increased. 102-103 When Kamehameha III inherited the throne at age 12, His advisors pressured him to merge Christianity with traditional Hawaiian ways. Under the guidance of his kuhina nui, his mother, and Corregent Elizabeth Kahumanu, and British allies, Hawaii turned into a Christian monarchy with the signing of the 1840 Constitution, 108-103. Hiram Bingamai, a prominent Protestant missionary, was a trusted advisor to the monarchy during this period. Other missionaries and their descendants became active in commercial and political affairs, leading to conflicts between the monarchy and its restive American subjects. 109 missionaries from the Roman Catholic Church and from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints were also active in the kingdom, initially converting a minority of the native Hawaiian population, but later becoming the first and second largest religious denominations on the islands, respectively. Missionaries from each major group administered to the leper colony at Kalapapa on Molokai, which was established in 1866 and operated well into the 20th century. The best known were Father Damien and Mother Mary Ann Cope, both of whom were canonized in the early 21st century as Roman Catholic saints. The death of the bachelor King Kamehameha V, who did not name an heir, resulted in the popular election of Lunalilo over Kalakaua. Lunalilo died the next year, also without naming an heir. In 1874, the election was contested within the legislature between Kalakaua and Emma, queen consort of Kamehameha IV. After riots broke out, the U.S. and Britain landed troops on the islands to restore order. The Legislative Assembly chose King Kalakaua as monarch by a vote of 39-6 on February 12, 1874. 1887 Constitution and overthrow preparations. In 1887, Kalakaua was forced to sign the 1887 Constitution of the Kingdom of Hawaii. Drafted by white businessmen and lawyers, the document stripped the king of much of his authority. It established a property qualification for voting that effectively disenfranchised most Hawaiians and immigrant laborers and favored the wealthier, white elite. Resident whites were allowed to vote, but resident Asians were not. As the 1887 Constitution was signed under threat of violence, it is known as the Bayonet Constitution. King Kalakaua, reduced to a figurehead, reigned until his death in 1891. His sister, Queen Liliuokalani, succeeded him. She was the last monarch of Hawaii. In 1893, Liliuokalani announced plans for a new constitution to proclaim herself an absolute monarch. On January 14, 1893, a group of mostly Euro-American business leaders and residents formed the Committee of Safety to stage a coup d'etat against the kingdom and seek annexation by the United States. U.S. Government Minister John L. Stevens, responding to a request from the Committee of Safety, summoned a company of U.S. Marines. The Queen's soldiers did not resist. According to historian William Russ, the monarchy was unable to protect itself. In Hawaiian autonomy, Liliuokalani states, "If we did not by force resist their final outrage, it was because we could not do so without striking at the military force of the United States. Whatever constraint the executive of this great country may be under to recognize the present government at Honolulu has been forced upon it by no act of ours, but by the unlawful acts of its own agents. Attempts to repudiate those acts are vain." In a message to Sanford B. Dole, Liliuokalani states, "Now to avoid any collision of armed forces and perhaps the loss of life, I do under this protest, and impelled by said force, yield my authority until such time as the government of the United States shall, upon the facts being presented to it, undo the action of its representatives and reinstate me in the authority which I claim as the constitutional sovereign of the Hawaiian Islands." Overthrow of 1893 Republic of Hawaii, 189-41898. Main articles: Overthrow of the Kingdom of Hawaii, Provisional Government of Hawaii, and Republic of Hawaii. Also list of Hawaiian sovereignty movement groups, historical royalist organizations from 1880 seconds. The treason trials of 1892 brought together the main players in the 1893 overthrow. American Minister John L. Stevens voiced support for Native Hawaiian revolutionaries. William R. Castle, a Committee of Safety member, served as a defense counsel in the treason trials. Alfred Stedman Hartwell, the 1893 annexation commissioner, led the defense effort, and Sanford B. Dole ruled as a Supreme Court justice against acts of conspiracy and treason. 121 Queen Liliuokalani, seated inside Iolani Palisikin Liliuokalani, the last reigning monarch of the Hawaiian Kingdom on January 17, 1893, a small group of sugar and pineapple growing businessmen, aided by the American minister to Hawaii and backed by heavily armed U.S. soldiers and Marines, deposed Queen Liliuokalani and installed a provisional government composed of members of the Committee of Safety. 122. According to scholar Lydia Kualapai and Hawaii State Representative Roy Takumi, this committee was formed against the will of indigenous Hawaiian voters, who constituted the majority of voters at the time, and consisted of 13 white men, according to scholar J. Kihalani Kwanui. 1237376. The United States Minister to the Kingdom of Hawaii, John L. Stevens, conspired with U.S. citizens to overthrow the monarchy. 124. After the overthrow, Sanford B. Dole, a citizen of Hawaii and cousin to James Dole, owner of Hawaiian Fruit Company, a company that benefited from the annexation of Hawaii, became president of the Republic when the Provisional Government of Hawaii ended on July 4, 1894, 1-5-126. Controversy ensued in the following years as the Queen tried to regain her throne. Scholar Lydia Kualapai writes that Liliuokalani had yielded under protest not to the counterfeit Provisional Government of Hawaii, but to the superior force of the United States of America, and wrote letters of protest to the President requesting a reconnaissance of allyship and a reinstatement of her sovereignty against the recent actions of the Provisional Government of Hawaii. 123. Following the January 1893 coup that deposed Liliuokalani, many royalists were preparing to overthrow the white-led Republic of Hawaii oligarchy. Hundreds of rifles were covertly shipped to Hawaii and hidden in caves nearby. As armed troops came and went, a Republic of Hawaii patrol discovered the rebel group. On January 6, 1895, gunfire began on both sides, and later the rebels were surrounded and captured. Over the next 10 days several skirmishes occurred, until the last armed opposition surrendered or were captured. The Republic of Hawaii took 123 troops into custody as prisoners of war. The mass arrest of nearly 300 more men and women, including Queen Liliuokalani, as political prisoners was intended to incapacitate the political resistance against the ruling oligarchy. In March 1895, a military tribunal convicted 170 prisoners of treason and sentenced 6 troops to be hung by the neck until dead, according to historian Ronald Williams Jr.B. The other prisoners were variously sentenced to from 5 to 35 years imprisonment at hard labor, while those convicted of lesser charges received sentences from 6 months to 6 years imprisonment at hard labor. 127. The Queen was sentenced to 5 years in prison, but spent 8 months under house arrest until she was released on parole. 128. The total number of arrests related to the 1895 Kauake Loco was 406 people on a summary list of statistics, published by the Government of the Republic of Hawaii. 127. The administration of President Grover Cleveland commissioned the Blount Report, which concluded that the removal of Liliuokalani had been illegal. Commissioner Blount found the U.S. and its minister guilty on all counts, including the overthrow, the landing of the Marines, and the recognition of the Provisional Government. 119. In a message to Congress, Cleveland wrote, and finally, but for the lawless occupation of Honolulu under false pretexts by the United States forces, and but for Minister Stevens' recognition of the Provisional Government when the United States forces were its sole support and constituted its only military strength, the Queen and her government would never have yielded to the Provisional Government, even for a time, and for the sole purpose of submitting her case to the enlightened justice of the United States. 119122. By an act of war, committed with the participation of a diplomatic representative of the United States, and without authority of Congress, the government of a feeble but friendly and confiding people has been overthrown. A substantial wrong has thus been done, which a due regard for our national character, as well as the rights of the injured people, requires we should endeavor to repair. The provisional government has not assumed a republican or other constitutional form, but has remained a mere executive council or oligarchy, set up without the assent of the people. It has not sought to find a permanent basis of popular support, and has given no evidence of an intention to do so. 1-2119, the U.S. government first demanded that Queen Liliuokalani be reinstated, but the provisional government refused. On December 23, 1893, the response from the Provisional Government of Hawaii, authored by President Sanford B. Dole, was received by Cleveland's Representative Minister Albert S. Willis and emphasized that the Provisional Government of Hawaii unhesitatingly rejected the demand from the Cleveland administration. 1-3 Congress conducted an independent investigation and on February 26, 1894, submitted the Morgan Report, which found all parties, including Minister Stevens, with the exception of the Queen, guilty and not responsible for the coup. 1-9 Partisans on both sides of the debate questioned the accuracy and impartiality of both the Blount and Morgan reports over the events of 1893, 116130131132 in 1993. Congress passed a joint apology resolution regarding the overthrow. It was signed by President Bill Clinton. The resolution apologized and said that the overthrow was illegal in the following phrase: the Congress on the occasion of the 100th anniversary of the illegal overthrow of the Kingdom of Hawaii on January 17, 1893, acknowledges the historical significance of this event which resulted in the suppression of the inherent sovereignty of the native Hawaiian people. 1-4. The apology resolution also acknowledges that the overthrow of the Kingdom of Hawaii occurred with the active participation of agents and citizens of the United States, and further acknowledges that the native Hawaiian people never directly relinquished to the United States their claims to their inherent sovereignty as a people over their national lands, either through the Kingdom of Hawaii or through a plebiscite or referendum. 132-124. Annexation Territory of Hawaii, 1898-1959. After William McKinley won the 1896 U.S. presidential election, advocates pressed to annex the Republic of Hawaii. The previous president, Grover Cleveland, was a friend of Queen Liliuokalani. McKinley was open to persuasion by U.S. expansionists and by annexationists from Hawaii. He met with three non-native annexationists, Lauren A. Thurston, Francis March Hatch, and William Unseld Kinney. After negotiations in June 1897, Secretary of State John Sherman agreed to a treaty of annexation with these representatives of the Republic of Hawaii. 133. The U.S. Senate never ratified the treaty. Despite the opposition of most native Hawaiians, 134 the Newlands Resolution was used to annex the Republic to the U.S. It became the territory of Hawaii. The Newlands Resolution was passed by the House on June 15, 1898, by 209 votes in favor to 91 against, and by the Senate on July 6, 1898, by a vote of 42 to 21. 135, 136, 137. A majority of native Hawaiians opposed annexation, voiced chiefly by Liliuokalani, whom Hawaiian Hanani K. Trask described as beloved and respected by her people. 138. Liliuokalani wrote, "It had not entered into our hearts to believe that these friends and allies from the United States would ever go so far as to absolutely overthrow our form of government, seize our nation by the throat, and pass it over to an alien power in her retelling of the overthrow of her government." 139. According to Trask, newspapers at the time argued Hawaiians would suffer virtual enslavement under annexation, including further loss of lands and liberties, in particular to sugar plantation owners. 140. These plantations were protected by the U.S. Navy as economic interests, justifying a continued military presence in the islands. 140. In 1900, Hawaii was granted self-governance and retained Iolani Palace as the territorial capital building. Despite several attempts to become a state, Hawaii remained a territory for 60 years. Plantation owners and capitalists, who maintained control through financial institutions such as the Big Five, found territorial status convenient because they remained able to import cheap, foreign labor. Such immigration and labor practices were prohibited in many states. One for one, the USS Shoal explodes during the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941 was the primary event which caused the United States to enter World War II. Puerto Rican immigration to Hawaii began in 1899, when Puerto Rico's sugar industry was devastated by a hurricane, causing a worldwide shortage of sugar and a huge demand for sugar from Hawaii. Hawaiian sugarcane plantation owners began to recruit experienced, unemployed laborers in Puerto Rico. Two waves of Korean immigration to Hawaii occurred in the 20th century. The first wave arrived between 1903 and 1924. The second wave began in 1965 after President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, which removed racial and national barriers and resulted in significantly altering the demographic mix in the U.S. 142. Oahu was the target of a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor by Imperial Japan on December 7, 1941. Political changes of 1950 for State of Hawaii, 1959 present. Main articles: Hawaii Democratic Revolution of 1954, Hawaii Admission Act, Admission to the Union, and List of U.S. states by date of admission to the Union. See also, List of Hawaiian Sovereignty Movement groups. Modern sovereignty organizations, 1960s present. 3 young women pack pineapples into cans in 1928. Prior to the post-war labor movement, Hawaii was governed by plantation owners. Here, 3 young women pack pineapples into cans in 1928. In the 1950s, the plantation owners' power was broken by the descendants of immigrant laborers who were born in Hawaii and were U.S. citizens. They voted against the Hawaii Republican Party, strongly supported by plantation owners. The new majority voted for the Democratic Party of Hawaii, which dominated territorial and state politics for more than 40 years. Eager to gain full representation in Congress and the Electoral College, residents actively campaigned for statehood. In Washington, there was talk that Hawaii would be a Republican Party stronghold. As a result, the admission of Hawaii was matched with the admission of Alaska, which was seen as a Democratic Party stronghold. These predictions proved inaccurate. As of 2017, Hawaii generally votes Democratic, while Alaska typically votes Republican. 1431441451446. During the Cold War, Hawaii became an important site for U.S. cultural diplomacy, military training, research, and as a staging ground for the U.S. war in Vietnam. 147-105. In March 1959, Congress passed the Hawaii Admissions Act, which U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower signed into law. 148. The act excluded Palmyra Atoll from statehood. It had been part of the Kingdom and Territory of Hawaii. On June 27, 1959, a referendum asked residents of Hawaii to vote on the statehood bill. 94.3% voted in favor of statehood, and 5.7% opposed it. 149. The referendum asked voters to choose between accepting the act and remaining a U.S. territory. The United Nations Special Committee on Decolonization later removed Hawaii from its list of non-self-governing territories. After attaining statehood, Hawaii quickly modernized through construction and a rapidly growing tourism economy. Later, state programs promoted Hawaiian culture, which the Hawaii State Constitutional Convention of 1978 created institutions such as the Office of Hawaiian Affairs to promote indigenous language and culture. 150. Legacy of annexation on Hawaiian land. In 1897, over 21,000 natives, representing the overwhelming majority of adult Hawaiians, signed anti-annexation petitions in one of the first examples of protest against the overthrow of Queen Liliuokalani's government. 151. Nearly 100 years later, in 1993, 17,000 Hawaiians marched to demand access and control over Hawaiian trust lands, and as part of the modern Hawaiian sovereignty movement, 152 Hawaiian trust land ownership and use is still widely contested as a consequence of annexation. According to scholar Winona LaDuke, as of 2015, 95% of Hawaii's land was owned or controlled by just 82 landholders, including over 50% by federal and state governments, as well as the established sugar and pineapple companies. 152. The 30-meter telescope is planned to be built on Hawaiian trust land, but has faced resistance as the project interferes with Kanaka indigeneity. 153. After Europeans and mainland Americans first arrived during the Kingdom of Hawaii period, the overall population of Hawaii, which until that time composed solely of indigenous Hawaiians, fell dramatically. Many people of the indigenous Hawaiian population died to foreign diseases, declining from an estimated 300,000 in the 1770s to 60,000 in the 1850s to 24,000 in 1920. Other estimates for the pre-contact population range from 150,000 to 1.5 million. 15. The population of Hawaii began to finally increase after an influx of primarily Asian settlers that arrived as migrant laborers at the end of the 19th century. 157. In 1923, 42% of the population was of Japanese descent, 9% of Chinese descent, and 16% Native Hawaiian descent. 158. In 2010, 156,000 residents declared themselves to be solely of Native Hawaiian ancestry, just over half the estimated pre-contact population. An additional 371,000 declared themselves to possess Native Hawaiian ancestry in combination with one or more other races, including other Polynesian groups, but mostly. In 2018, the United States Census Bureau estimated the population of Hawaii to be 1,420,491, a decrease of 7,047 from the previous year, but an increase of 60,194.42 since 2010. This includes a natural increase of 48,111.96, 028 births, minus 47,917 deaths, and an increase due to net migration of 16,956. Immigration from outside the United States resulted in a net increase of 30,068. Migration within the country produced a net loss of 13,112 people. 159 needs update. The center of population of Hawaii is located on the island of Oahu. Large numbers of native Hawaiians have moved to Las Vegas, which has been called the ninth island of Hawaii. 160161 Hawaii has a de facto population of over 1.4 million, due in part to a large number of military personnel and tourist residents. Oahu is the most populous island. It has the highest population density, with a resident population of just under 1 million in 597 square miles. 1,546 km2, approximately 1,650 people per square mile. Hawaii's 1.4 million residents, spread across 6,000 square miles 15,500 km2 of land, result in an average population density of 188.6 persons per square mile. 163. The state has a lower population density than Ohio and Illinois. 164. The average projected lifespan of people born in Hawaii in 2000 is 79.8 years, 77.1 years if male, 82.5 if female, longer than the average lifespan of any other U.S. state. 165. As of 2011, the U.S. military reported it had 42,371 personnel on the islands. 166. According to HUD's 2022 Annual Homeless Assessment Report, there were an estimated 5,967 homeless people in Hawaii. 167,168 in 2018. The top countries of origin for immigrants in Hawaii were the Philippines, China, Japan, Korea, and the Marshall Islands. 169 Ancestry. Further information: Native Hawaiians, White Americans in Hawaii, Filipinos in Hawaii, and Japanese and Hawaii. Japanese immigration to Hawaii was largely fueled by the high demand for plantation labor in Hawaii post-annexation. According to the 2020 United States Census, Hawaii had a population of 1,455,271. The state's population identified as 37.2% Asian, 25.3% multiracial, 22.9% white, 10.8% Native Hawaiians and other Pacific Islanders, 9.5% Hispanic and Latinos of any race, 1.6% Black or African American, 1.8% from some other race, and 0.3% Native American and Alaskan Native, 170. Hawaii has the highest percentage of Asian Americans and multiracial Americans, and the lowest percentage of white Americans of any state. It is the only state where people who identify as Asian Americans are the largest ethnic group. In 2012, 14.5% of the resident population under age 1 was non-Hispanic white. 174. Hawaii's Asian population consists mainly of 198,014. 6. Filipino Americans, 185,013. 6. Japanese Americans, roughly 55,004. 0. Chinese Americans, and 24,001. 8. Korean Americans, 175, over 120,008. 8. Hispanic and Latino Americans live in Hawaii. Mexican Americans number over 35,002. 6. Puerto Ricans exceed 44,003. 2. Multiracial Americans constitute almost 25% of Hawaii's population, exceeding 320,000 people. Hawaii is the only state to have a triracial group as its largest multiracial group, one that includes white, Asian, and Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander. 22. All interracial population, 176. The non-Hispanic white population numbers around 310,000, just over 20% of the population. The multiracial population outnumbers the non-Hispanic white population by about 10,000 people, 175. In 1970, the Census Bureau reported Hawaii's population was 38.8% white and 57.7% Asian and Pacific Islander. 177. There are more than 80,000 indigenous Hawaiians, 5.9% of the population. 175, including those with partial ancestry. Samoan Americans constitute 2.8% of Hawaii's population, and Tongan Americans constitute 0.6. 178. The 5 largest European ancestries in Hawaii are German 7, 4, Irish 5, 2, English 4, 6, Portuguese 4, 3, and Italian 2, 7. About 82.2% of the state's residents were born in the United States. Roughly 75% of foreign-born residents originate from Asia. Hawaii is a majority-minority state. It was expected to be one of 3 states that would not have a non-Hispanic white plurality in 2014. The other 2 are California and New Mexico. 179. The third group of foreigners to arrive in Hawaii were from China. Chinese workers on Western trading ships settled in Hawaii starting in 1789. In 1820, the first American missionaries arrived to preach Christianity and teach the Hawaiians Western ways. 182. As of 2015, a large proportion of Hawaii's population have Asian ancestry, especially Filipino, Japanese, and Chinese. Many are descendants of immigrants brought to work on the sugarcane plantations in the mid to late 19th century. The first 153 Japanese immigrants arrived in Hawaii on June 19, 1868. They were not approved by the then current Japanese government because the contract was between a broker and the Tokugawa shogunate, by then replaced by the Meiji Restoration. The first Japanese current government-approved immigrants arrived on February 9, 1885, after Kalakawa's petition to Emperor Meiji when Kalakawa visited Japan in 1881. 183-184, almost 13,000 Portuguese migrants had arrived by 1899. They also worked on the sugarcane plantations. 185. By 1901, more than 5,000 Puerto Ricans were living in Hawaii. 186 languages. Many Portuguese immigrants were Azorean or Madeiran. They brought with them Roman Catholicism and Portuguese language and cuisine. English and Hawaiian are listed as Hawaii's official languages in the state's 1978 Constitution, in Article XV, Section 4, 187. However, the use of Hawaiian is limited because the Constitution specifies that Hawaiian shall be required for public acts and transactions only as provided by law. Hawaii Creole English, locally referred to as Pidgin, is the native language of many native residents and is a second language for many others. 188. As of the 2000 census, 73.4% of Hawaii residents age 5 and older exclusively speak English at home. 189. According to the 2008 American Community Survey, 74.6% of Hawaii's residents older than 5 speak only English at home. 180. In their homes, 21.0% of state residents speak an additional Asian language, 2.6% speak Spanish, 1.6% speak other Indo-European languages, and 0.2% speak another language. 180. After English, other languages popularly spoken in the state are Tagalog, Ilocano, and Japanese. 1905.4% of residents speak Tagalog, which includes non-native speakers of Filipino, a Tagalog-based national and co-official language of the Philippines. 5.0% speak Japanese, and 4.0% speak Ilocano. 1.2% speak Chinese, 1.7% speak Hawaiian, 1.7% speak Spanish, 1.6% speak Korean, and 1.0% speak Samoan. 189. That form was developed mainly by American Protestant missionaries between 1820 and 1826, who assigned to the Hawaiian phonemes letters from the Latin alphabet. Interest in Hawaiian increased significantly in the late 20th century. With the help of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, specially designated immersion schools in which all subjects would be taught in Hawaiian were established. The University of Hawaii developed a Hawaiian language graduate studies program. Municipal codes were altered to favor Hawaiian place and street names for new civic developments. 198. Hawaiian distinguishes between long and short vowel sounds. In modern practice, vowel length is indicated with a macron kahak. Hawaiian language newspapers and pepa published from 1834 to 1948, and traditional native speakers of Hawaiian generally omit the marks in their own writing. The okina and kahak are intended to capture the proper pronunciation of Hawaiian words. 199. The Hawaiian language uses the glottal stop okina as a consonant. It is written as a symbol similar to the apostrophe or left-hanging opening single quotation mark. 200. The keyboard layout used for Hawaiian is QWERTY. 201. Residents of Hawaii speak Hawaii Creole English HE, endonymically called Pidgin or Pidgin English. The lexicon of HE derives mainly from English, but also uses words that have derived from Hawaiian, Chinese, Japanese, Portuguese, Ilocano, and Tagalog. During the 19th century, the increase in immigration mainly from China, Japan, Portugal, especially from the Azores and Madeira, and Spain catalyzed the development of a hybrid variant of English known to its speakers as Pidgin. By the early 20th century, Pidgin speakers had children who acquired it as their first language. HE speakers use some Hawaiian words without those words being considered archaic. Clarification needed. Most place names are retained from Hawaiian, as are some names for plants and animals. For example, tuna fish is often called by its Hawaiian name, ahi. 202 HE speakers have modified the meanings of some English words. For example, auntie and uncle may either refer to any adult who is a friend or be used to show respect to an elder. Syntax and grammar follow distinctive rules different from those of general American English. For example, instead of, "It is hot today, isn't it?" an HE speaker would say simply, "Stay hot, eh?" The term da kine is used as a filler, a substitute for virtually any word or phrase. During the surfing boom in Hawaii, HE was influenced by surfer slang. Some HE expressions, such as bra and da kine, have found their ways elsewhere through surfing communities. 203 Hawaii Sign Language. Sign language, a sign language for the deaf based on the Hawaiian language, has been in use in the islands since the early 1800s. It is dwindling in numbers due to American Sign Language supplanting Shell through schooling and various other domains. 204 Religion Maine article. Hawaiian Religionsi also. Kapu Hawaiian culture, list of figures in the Hawaiian religion, and list of missionaries to Hawaii Fod of a Christian church in downtown Honolulu. The style of architecture for the Makiki Christian Church in Honolulu heavily draws upon Japanese architecture. Religious self-identification, per Public Religion Research Institute's 2022 American Values Survey. 205 Hawaii is among the most religiously diverse states in the U.S., with 1 in 10 residents practicing a non-Christian faith. 207. Roughly 1/4 to half the population identify as unaffiliated and non-religious, making Hawaii one of the most secular states as well. Christianity remains the majority religion, represented mainly by various Protestant groups, and Roman Catholicism. The second largest religion is Buddhism, which comprises a larger proportion of the population than in any other state. It is concentrated in the Japanese community. Native Hawaiians continue to engage in traditional religious and spiritual practices today, often adhering to Christian and traditional beliefs at the same time. 61-101-89-102, the Cathedral Church of St. Andrew in Honolulu was formerly the seat of the Hawaiian Reformed Catholic Church, a province of the Anglican Communion that had been the state church of the Kingdom of Hawaii. It subsequently merged into the Episcopal Church in the 1890s following the overthrow of the Kingdom of Hawaii, becoming the seat of the Episcopal Diocese of Hawaii. The Cathedral Basilica of Our Lady of Peace and the Co-Cathedral of St. Teresa of the Child Jesus serve as seats of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Honolulu. The Eastern Orthodox community is centered around the Saints Constantine and Helen Greek Orthodox Cathedral of the Pacific. The largest religious denominations by membership were the Roman Catholic Church with 249,619 adherents in 2010. 208, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints with 68,128 adherents in 2009. 209, the United Church of Christ with 115 congregations and 20,000 members, and the Southern Baptist Convention with 108 congregations and 18,000 members. 210 non-denominational churches collectively have 128 congregations and 32,000 members. According to data provided by religious establishments, religion in Hawaii in 2000 was distributed as follows: 211-212. The history of Hawaii's economy can be traced through a succession of dominant industries: sandalwood, 234 whaling, 235 sugarcane, pineapple, the military, tourism, and education. By the 1840s, sugar plantations had gained a strong foothold in the Hawaiian economy due to a high demand of sugar in the United States and rapid transport via steamships. 77. Sugarcane plantations were tightly controlled by American missionary families and businessmen known as the Big Five, who monopolized control of the sugar industry's profits. 77-78. By the time Hawaiian annexation was being considered in 1898, sugarcane producers turned to cultivating tropical fruits like pineapple, which became the principal export for Hawaii's plantation economy. 78-77, since statehood in 1959, tourism has been the largest industry, contributing 24.3% of the gross state product (GSP) in 1997. Despite efforts to diversify, the state's gross output for 2003 was $47 billion. Per capita income for Hawaii residents in 2014 was US $54,516,236. Hawaiian exports include food and clothing. These industries play a small role in the Hawaiian economy due to the shipping distance to viable markets, such as the west coast of the United States. The state's food exports include coffee, macadamia nuts, pineapple, livestock, sugarcane, and honey. 237. By weight, honeybees may be the state's most valuable export. 238. According to the Hawaii Agricultural Statistics Service, agricultural sales were $370.9 million from diversified agriculture, $100.6 million from pineapple, and $64.3 million from sugarcane. Hawaii's relatively consistent climate has attracted the seed industry, which is able to test 3 generations of crops per year on the islands, compared with 1 or 2 on the mainland. 239. Seeds yielded $264 million in 2012, supporting 1,400 workers. 240. As of December 2015, the state's unemployment rate was 3%. In 2009, the United States military spent $12.2 billion in Hawaii, accounting for 18% of spending in the state for that year. 75,000 United States Department of Defense personnel live in Hawaii. 242. According to a 2013 study by Phoenix Marketing International, Hawaii at that time had the 4th largest number of millionaires per capita in the United States, with a ratio of 7:2. 243. Taxation tax is collected by the Hawaii Department of Taxation. 244. Most government revenue comes from personal income taxes, and a general excise tax get levied primarily on businesses. There is no statewide tax on sales. 245. Personal property, or stock transfers. 246. While the effective property tax rate is among the lowest in the country. 247. The high rate of tourism means that millions of visitors generate public revenue through GET and the hotel room tax. 248. However, Hawaii residents generally pay among the most state taxes per person in the U.S. 248. The Tax Foundation of Hawaii considers the state's tax burden too high, claiming that it contributes to higher prices and the perception of an unfriendly business climate. 248. The Nonprofit Tax Foundation ranks Hawaii 3rd in income tax burden and 2nd in its overall tax burden, though notes that a significant portion of taxes are borne by tourists. 249. Former State Senator Sam Slom attributed Hawaii's comparatively high tax rate to the fact that the state government is responsible for education, healthcare, and social services that are usually handled at a county or municipal level in most other states. 248. Cost of living in Hawaii, specifically Honolulu, is high compared to that of most major U.S. cities, although it is 6.7% lower than in New York City and 3.6% lower than in San Francisco. 250. These numbers may not take into account some costs, such as increased travel costs for flights, additional shipping fees, and the loss of promotional participation opportunities for customers outside the contiguous U.S. While some online stores offer free shipping on orders to Hawaii, many merchants exclude Hawaii, Alaska, Puerto Rico, and certain other U.S. territories. 251-52. Hawaii electricity production by type. Electricity prices by Metro Hawaiian Electric Industries, a privately owned company, provides 95% of the state's population with electricity, mostly from fossil fuel power stations. Average electricity prices in October 2014 41 cents per kilowatt-hour were nearly 3 times the national average 58 cents per kilowatt-hour, and 80% higher than the second highest state, Connecticut, 253 median housing prices by Statith. Median home value in Hawaii in the 2000 U.S. Census was $272,700, while the national median home value was $119,000. Hawaii home values were the highest of all states, including California, with a median home value of $211,500.25 for research from the National Association of Realtors places the 2010 median sale price of a single-family home in Honolulu, Hawaii, at $607,600, and the U.S. median sales price at $173,200. The sale price of single-family homes in Hawaii was the highest of any U.S. city in 2010, just above that of the Silicon Valley area of California, a 602,000 to 55. Hawaii's very high cost of living is the result of several interwoven factors of the global economy in addition to domestic U.S. government trade policy. Like other regions with desirable weather year-round, such as California, Arizona, and Florida, Hawaii's residents can be considered to be subject to a sunshine tax. This situation is further exacerbated by the natural factors of geography and world distribution that lead to higher prices for goods due to increased shipping costs, a problem which many island states and territories suffer from as well. The higher costs to ship goods across an ocean may be further increased by the requirements of the Jones Act, which generally requires that goods be transported between places within the U.S., including between the mainland U.S. West Coast and Hawaii, using only U.S.-owned, built, and crewed ships. Jones Act-compliant vessels are often more expensive to build and operate than foreign equivalents, which can drive up shipping costs. While the Jones Act does not affect transportation of goods to Hawaii directly from Asia, this type of trade is nonetheless not common. This is a result of other primarily economic reasons, including additional costs associated with stopping over in Hawaii, for example pilot and port fees, the market size of Hawaii, and the economics of using ever larger ships that cannot be handled in Hawaii for transoceanic voyages. Therefore, Hawaii relies on receiving most inbound goods on Jones Act qualified vessels originating from the U.S. West Coast, which may contribute to the increased cost of some consumer goods, and therefore the overall cost of living to 5.6 to 5.7. Critics of the Jones Act contend that Hawaii consumers ultimately bear the expense of transporting goods imposed by the Jones Act, to 5.8. Cultureman article. Culture of the native Hawaiians. The Aboriginal culture of Hawaii is Polynesian. Hawaii represents the northernmost extension of the vast Polynesian Triangle of the South and Central Pacific Ocean. While traditional Hawaiian culture remains as vestiges in modern Hawaiian society, there are reenactments of the ceremonies and traditions throughout the islands. Some of these cultural influences, including the popularity and greatly modified form of elo and hula, are strong enough to affect the wider United States. Cuisine article. Cuisine of Hawaii. Painting of a man carrying taro by a yoke. Taro, or in Hawaiian, kalo, was one of the primary staples in ancient Hawaii and remains a central ingredient in Hawaiian gastronomy today. The cuisine of Hawaii is a fusion of many foods brought by immigrants to the Hawaiian Islands, including the earliest Polynesians and native Hawaiian cuisine, and American, Chinese, Filipino, Japanese, Korean, Polynesian, Puerto Rican, and Portuguese origins. Plant and animal food sources are imported from around the world for agricultural use in Hawaii. Poi, a starch made by pounding taro, is one of the traditional foods of the islands. Many local restaurants serve the ubiquitous plate lunch, which features 2 scoops of rice, a simplified version of American macaroni salad, and a variety of toppings including hamburger patties, a fried egg, and gravy of a loco mako, Japanese-style tonkatsu, or the traditional elo favorites, including kailua pork, and lala. Spam musubi is an example of the fusion of ethnic cuisine that developed on the islands among the mix of immigrant groups and military personnel. In the 1990s, a group of chefs developed Hawaii regional cuisine as a contemporary fusion cuisine. Customs and etiquette article. Customs and etiquette in Hawaii. Some key customs and etiquette in Hawaii are as follows. When visiting a home, It is considered good manners to bring a small gift for one's host, for example, a dessert. Thus, parties are usually in the form of potlucks. Most locals take their shoes off before entering a home. It is customary for Hawaiian families, regardless of ethnicity, to hold a luau to celebrate a child's first birthday. It is also customary at Hawaiian weddings, especially at Filipino weddings, for the bride and groom to do a money dance, also called the pandango. Print media and local residents recommend that one refer to non-Hawaiians as locals of Hawaii or people of Hawaii. Hawaiian Mythology. Main article. Hawaiian mythology. A stone carving of a Hawaiian deity, housed at a German museum. Hawaiian mythology includes the legends, historical tales, and sayings of the ancient Hawaiian people. It is considered a variant of a more general Polynesian mythology that developed a unique character for several centuries before c. 1800. It is associated with the Hawaiian religion, which was officially suppressed in the 19th century, but was kept alive by some practitioners to the modern day. 259 prominent figures and terms include Aumakua, the spirit of an ancestor or family god, and Kani, the highest of the four major Hawaiian deities. Polynesian mythology. Main article. Polynesian mythology. A sacred god figure wrapping for the war god Oro, made of woven dried coconut fiber. Senet, made to protect a Polynesian god effigy, carved from wood. Polynesian mythology is the oral traditions of the people of Polynesia, a grouping of Central and South Pacific Ocean island archipelagos in the Polynesian Triangle, together with the scattered cultures known as the Polynesian outliers. Polynesians speak languages that descend from a language reconstructed as Proto-Polynesian that was probably spoken in the area around Tonga and Samoa in around 1000 BC. 260. Prior to the 15th century, Polynesian people migrated east to the Cook Islands, and from there to other island groups such as Tahiti and the Marquesas. Their descendants later discovered the islands Tahiti, Rapa Nui, and later the Hawaiian Islands and New Zealand. 261. The Polynesian languages are part of the Austronesian language family. Many are close enough in terms of vocabulary and grammar to be mutually intelligible. There are also substantial cultural similarities between the various groups, especially in terms of social organization, child rearing, horticulture, building, and textile technologies. Their mythologies in particular demonstrate local reworkings of commonly shared tales. The Polynesian cultures each have distinct but related oral traditions. Legends or myths are traditionally considered to recount ancient history, the time of Pi, and the adventures of gods, Atua, and deified ancestors. Music. Main article. Music of Hawaii. Different types of ukuleles, widely used in Hawaiian. Musachak Johnson, a folk rock musician, was born and raised on Oahu's North Shore. The music of Hawaii includes traditional and popular styles, ranging from native Hawaiian folk music to modern rock and hip-hop. Styles such as slack-key guitar are well known worldwide, while Hawaiian ting music is a frequent part of Hollywood soundtracks. Hawaii also made a major contribution to country music with the introduction of the steel guitar. 262. Traditional Hawaiian folk music is a major part of the state's musical heritage. The Hawaiian people have inhabited the islands for centuries and have retained much of their traditional musical knowledge. Their music is largely religious in nature and includes chanting and dance music. Hawaiian music has had an enormous impact on the music of other Polynesian islands. According to Peter Manuel, the influence of Hawaiian music is a unifying factor in the development of modern Pacific musics. 263. Native Hawaiian musician and Hawaiian sovereignty activist Israel Kamakawiwo'ole, famous for his medley of Somewhere Over the Rainbow or What a Wonderful World, was named the Voice of Hawaii by NPR in 2010 in its 50 Great Voices series. 264. Sports. Due to its distance from the continental United States, team sports in Hawaii are characterized by youth, collegial, and amateur teams over professional teams, although some professional team sports teams have at one time played in the state. Notable professional teams include the Hawaiians, which played at the World Football League in 1974 and 1975, The Hawaii Islanders, a AAA minor league baseball team that played at the Pacific Coast League from 1961 to 1987, and Team Hawaii, a North American soccer league team that played in 1977. Notable college sports events in Hawaii include the Maui Invitational Tournament, Diamond Head Classic Basketball, and Hawaii Bowl Football. The only NCAA Division I team in Hawaii is the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors and Rainbow Wahine, which competes at the Big West Conference major sports, Mountain West Conference football, and Mountain Pacific Sports Federation minor sports. There are 3 teams in NCAA Division II, Chaminade Silver Swords, Hawaii Pacific Sharks, and Hawaii Hilo Vulcans, all of which compete at the Pacific West Conference. Surfing at North Shore of Oahu has been a central part of Polynesian culture for centuries. Since the late 19th century, Hawaii has become a major site for surfists from around the world. Notable competitions include the Triple Crown of Surfing and the Eddy. Likewise, Hawaii has produced elite-level swimmers, including 5-time Olympic medalist Duke Kahanamoku and Buster Crabbe, who set 16 swimming world records. Hawaii has hosted the Sony Open in Hawaii Golf Tournament since 1965, the Tournament of Champions Golf Tournament since 1999, the Lot Championship Golf Tournament since 2012, the Honolulu Marathon since 1973, the Ironman World Championship Triathlon Race since 1978, the Ultraman Triathlon since 1983, the National Football League's Pro Bowl from 1980 to 2016, the 2000 FINA World Open Water Swimming Championships, and the 2008 Pan-Pacific Championship and 2012 Hawaiian Islands Invitation. Hawaii has produced a number of notable mixed martial arts fighters, such as former UFC lightweight champion and UFC welterweight champion BJ Penn, and former UFC featherweight champion Max Holloway. Other notable Hawaiian martial artists include Travis Brown, KJ Nunes, Brad Tavares, and Wesley Carrera. Hawaiians have found success in the world of sumo wrestling. Takamiyama Daiger was the first foreigner to ever win a sumo title in Japan, while his protege Akebono Tar became a top-level sumo wrestler in Japan during the 1990s before transitioning into a successful professional wrestling career in the 2000s. Akebono was the first foreign-born sumo to reach Yokozuna in history and helped fuel a boom in interest in sumo during his career. Tora's main article, Tourism in Hawaii Punalu Beach, on the Big Island. Tourism is Hawaii's leading employer. Tourism is an important part of the Hawaiian economy as it represents of the economy. According to the Hawaii Tourism 2019 Annual Visitor Research Report, a total of 10,386,673 visitors arrived in 2019, which increased 5% from the previous year, with expenditures of almost $18 billion to 6.5. In 2019, tourism provided over 216,000 jobs statewide and contributed more than $2 billion in tax revenue. 266. Due to mild year-round weather, tourist travel is popular throughout the year. Tourists across the globe visited Hawaii in 2019, with over 1 million tourists from the U.S. East, almost 2 million Japanese tourists, and almost 500,000 Canadian tourists. It was with statehood in 1959 that the Hawaii tourism industry began to grow. 267. According to Hawaiian scholar Honani K. Trask, tourism in Hawaii has led to the commodification and exploitation of Hawaiian culture, resulting in insidious forms of cultural prostitution. Hawaii has been used to fuel ideas of escapism, yet tourism in Hawaii ignores the harm Kanaka and locals experience. 268. Cultural traditions such as the hula have been made ornamental, a form of exotica for tourists as a way for large corporations and landowners to gain profit over the exploitation of Hawaiian people and culture. 268. Tourism in Hawaii has been considered as an escape from reality, resulting in the dismissal of violence faced by native Hawaiians and locals living on the land. According to scholar Winona LaDuque, native Hawaiians have been forced to gather shrimp and fish from ponds sitting on resort property. 269 Tourism has also had damaging effects on the environment such as water shortages, overcrowding, sea level rising, elevated sea surface temperatures, and microplastics on beaches. 270-271-272 Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, tourism in Hawaii came to a halt, which allowed the land, water, and animals to begin to heal. Fish like the baby akul and big ulua have returned after years of not being around the bay. The coral reefs, fish, water growth, and limu algae growth was able to flourish without the heavy toll of tourism. 273 There has been pushback against tourism by native Hawaiians, urging people not to visit the islands. A survey by the Hawaii Tourism Authority indicated over of Hawaiians did not want tourists to return to Hawaii. Tourism had become extractive and hurtful, with tourists coming here and taking, without any reciprocation with locals. 274 Hawaii hosts numerous cultural events. The annual Merry Monarch Festival is an international hula competition. 275 The Hawaii International Film Festival is the premier film festival for Pacific Rim cinema. 276 Honolulu hosts the state's long-running LGBT film festival, the Rainbow Film Festival. 277-78 Transportationman article. Transportation in Hawaii. Also, Hawaii Department of Transportation, list of airports in Hawaii, and aviation in Hawaii. Honolulu International Airport, a system of state highways encircles each main island. Only Oahu has federal highways, and is the only area outside the contiguous 48 states to have signed interstate highways. Narrow, winding roads and congestion in populated places can slow traffic. Each major island has a public bus system. Honolulu International Airport IATA, HNL, which shares runways with the adjacent Hickam Field IATA, HIC, is the major commercial aviation hub of Hawaii. The commercial aviation airport offers intercontinental service to North America, Asia, Australia, and Oceania. Hawaiian Airlines and Makuli'il Airlines use jets to provide services between the large airports in Honolulu, Oahu, Kahului, Kona, and Hilo. These airlines also provide air freight services between the islands. On May 30, 2017, the airport was officially renamed as the Daniel K. Inouye International Airport HNL, after U.S. Senator Daniel K. Inouye. 288 Until air passenger services began in the 1920s, 289 private boats were the sole means of traveling between the islands. Sea Flight operated hydrofoils between the major islands in the mid-1970s. 290 The Hawaii Super Ferry operated between Oahu and Maui between December 2007 and March 2009, with additional routes planned for other islands. Protests and legal problems over environmental impact statements ended the service, though the company operating Super Ferry has expressed a wish to recommence ferry services in the future. 291 Currently, there is a passenger ferry service in Maui County between Lanai and Maui. 292 which does not take vehicles. A passenger ferry to Molokai ended in 2016. 293 Currently, Norwegian Cruise Lines and Princess Cruises provide passenger cruise ship services between the larger islands. 294-295 Rail At one time, Hawaii had a network of railroads on each of the larger islands that transported farm commodities and passengers. Most were 3 feet 914 narrow gauge systems, but there were some 2 feet 6 and 7/16 gauge on some of the smaller islands. The standard gauge in the U.S. is 4 feet 8 plus 12 in 1 for 3.5. By far, the largest railroad was the Oahu Railway and Land Company, or an L, that ran lines from Honolulu across the western and northern part of Oahu. 296 The Oran-L was important for moving troops and goods during World War II. Traffic on this line was busy enough for signals to be used to facilitate movement of trains, and to require wigwag signals at some railroad crossings for the protection of motorists. The main line was officially abandoned in 1947, although part of it was bought by the U.S. Navy and operated until 1970. 13 miles 21 km of track remain. Preservationists occasionally run trains over a portion of this line. 296 Skyline is an elevated passenger rail line operated by HART, a semi-autonomous agency of the City and County of Honolulu. It was built with the intention to relieve highway congestion. 297 A portion of Skyline opened for service in 2023, with the next phase expected to open in October 2025, and the final phase in 2031. 298 The movement of the Hawaiian royal family from Hawaii Island to Maui, and subsequently to Oahu, explains the modern-day distribution of population centers. Kamehameha III chose the largest city, Honolulu, as his capital because of its natural harbor, the present-day Honolulu Harbor. Now the state capital, Honolulu, is located along the southeast coast of Oahu. The previous capital was Lahaina, Maui, and before that, Kailua Kona, Hawaii. Some major towns are Hilo, Kaneohe, Kailua, Pearl City, Waipahu, Kahului, Kailua Kona, Kihei, and Hugh. Hawaii has 5 counties: the City and County of Honolulu, Hawaii County, Maui County, Kauai County, and Kalawao County. Hawaii has the fewest local governments among U.S. states. 299300 Unique to the state is the lack of municipal governments. All local governments are generally administered at the county level. The only incorporated area in the state is Honolulu County, a consolidated city-county that governs the entire island of Oahu. County executives are referred to as mayors. These are the mayor of Hawaii County, mayor of Honolulu, mayor of Kauai, and the mayor of Maui. The mayors are all elected in nonpartisan elections. Kalawao County has no elected government, 301, and as mentioned above, there are no local school districts. Instead, all local public education is administered at the state level by the Hawaii Department of Education. The remaining local governments are special districts. 299300 State Government. Further information. Category: State Agencies of Hawaii. Hawaii State Capitol Building. State Government of Hawaii is modeled after the federal government, with adaptations originating from the Kingdom era of Hawaiian history. As codified in the Constitution of Hawaii, there are 3 branches of government: executive, legislative, and judicial, although the Office of Hawaiian Affairs is often referred to as the 4th branch of government, as it does not fall under the other 3 branches. The executive branch is led by the Governor of Hawaii, who is assisted by the Lieutenant Governor of Hawaii, both of whom are elected on the same ticket. The governor is the only state public official elected statewide. All others are appointed by the governor. The lieutenant governor acts as the Secretary of State. The governor and lieutenant governor oversee 20 agencies and departments from offices in the state capital. The official residence of the governor is Washington Place. The legislative branch consists of the bicameral Hawaii State Legislature, which is composed of the 51-member Hawaii House of Representatives, led by the Speaker of the House, and the 25-member Hawaii Senate, led by the President of the Senate. The legislature meets at the state capitol. The unified judicial branch of Hawaii is the Hawaii State Judiciary. The state's highest court is the Supreme Court of Hawaii, which uses Alilani Hale as its chambers. Hawaii is represented in the United States Congress by 2 senators and 2 representatives. As of 2023, all 4 seats are held by Democrats. Former Representative Ed Case was elected in 2018 to the 1st Congressional District. Jill Tokuda represents the 2nd Congressional District, representing the rest of the state, which is largely rural and semi-rural. 302 Brian Schatz is the senior United States Senator from Hawaii. He was appointed to the office on December 26, 2012, by Governor Neil Abercrombie, following the death of former Senator Daniel Inouye. Schatz then won the 2014 special election and the 2016 and 2022 regular elections in Hawaii as senator. The state's junior senator is Mazie Hirono, the former representative from the 2nd Congressional District. She won in the 2012, 2018, and 2024 elections for senator in Hawaii, following the retirement of Daniel Akaka. Hirono is the first female Asian American senator and the first Buddhist senator. Hawaii incurred the biggest seniority shift between the 112th and 113th Congresses. The state went from a delegation consisting of senators who were 1st and 21st in seniority to their respective replacements, relative newcomers Schatz and Hirono. 303 federal officials in Hawaii are based at the Prince K. High Federal Building near the Aloha Tower in Honolulu Harbor. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, Internal Revenue Service, and the Secret Service maintain their offices there. The building is also the site of the Federal District Court for the District of Hawaii and the United States Attorney for the District of Hawaii. Politicsman article, Politics of Hawaii, also. Political party strength in Hawaii and United States presidential elections in Hawaii. Hawaii-born President Barack Obama signs the Zadroga Act in Kailua, Hawaiians gaining statehood and participating in its first election in 1960. Hawaii has supported Democrats in all but two presidential elections, 1972 and 1984. Both of which were landslide re-election victories for Republicans Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan. In Hawaii's statehood tenure, only Minnesota has supported Republican candidates fewer times in presidential elections. The 2022 Cook Partisan Voting Index ranks Hawaii as the third most heavily Democratic state in the nation. 304 Hawaii has not elected a Republican to represent the state in the U.S. Senate since Hiram Fong in 1970. Since 1977, both of the state's U.S. senators have been Democrats. 305-306 in 2004, John Kerry won the state's 4 electoral votes by a margin of 9 percentage points with 54% of the vote. Every county supported the Democratic candidate. In 1964, favorite son candidate Senator Hiram Fong of Hawaii sought the Republican presidential nomination, while Patsy Mink ran in the Oregon primary. In 1972, Governor David Ige with U.S. Navy Admiral John Richardson at the 75th commemoration event of the Pearl Harbor and Oahu attacks in 2016. Honolulu-born Barack Obama, then serving as a United States Senator from Illinois, was elected the 44th President of the United States on November 4, 2008, and was re-elected for a second term on November 6, 2012. Obama had won the Hawaii Democratic Caucus on February 19, 2008, with 76% of the vote. He was the third Hawaii-born candidate to seek the nomination of a major party, the first presidential nominee and first president from Hawaii. 307-308 in a 2020 study, Hawaii was ranked as the 6th easiest state for citizens to vote in. 309 Law enforcement. Hawaii has a statewide sheriff department under its Department of Public Safety that provides law enforcement protection to government buildings and Daniel K. Inouye International Airport, as well as correction services to all correctional facilities owned by the state. Counties have their own respective police departments with their own jurisdictions. Kauai County Police Department for the island of Kauai, Honolulu Police Department for Oahu, Maui County Police Department for Molokai, Maui, and Lana, Hawaii County Police Department for the Big Island. Forensic services for all agencies in the state are provided by the Honolulu Police Department. 310. In January 2022, state officials proposed legislation that would split the Sheriff Department from the Department of Public Safety and consolidate it with the Criminal Investigation Division from the Department of the Attorney General to create a new Department of Law Enforcement that would create a statewide police agency with the ability to investigate crimes. 311 Hawaiian Sovereignty Movement. Main articles. Hawaiian Sovereignty Movement, list of Hawaiian Sovereignty Movement groups, and legal status of Hawaii. Kaniakapa Royal Summer Palace ruins in Honolulu County. While Hawaii is internationally recognized as a state of the United States, while also being broadly accepted as such in mainstream understanding, the legality of this status has been questioned in U.S. District Courts. 312 The Uni and other international forums. 313 Domestically, the debate is a topic covered in the Kamehameha School's curriculum. 314 and in classes at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. 315 political organizations seeking some form of sovereignty for Hawaii have been active since the late 19th century. Generally, their focus is on self-determination and self-governance, either for Hawaii as an independent nation in many proposals, for Hawaiian nationals descended from subjects of the Hawaiian Kingdom, or declaring themselves as such by choice, or for people of whole or part native Hawaiian ancestry in an indigenous nation-to-nation relationship akin to tribal sovereignty with thus federal recognition of native Hawaiians. The pro-federal recognition of Kaka bill drew substantial opposition among Hawaiian residents in the 2000s. 316-317 opponents to the tribal approach argue it is not a legitimate path to Hawaiian nationhood. They also argue that the U.S. government should not be involved in re-establishing Hawaiian sovereignty. 318-319, the Hawaiian sovereignty movement views the overthrow of the Kingdom of Hawaii in 1893 as illegal, and views the subsequent annexation of Hawaii by the United States as illegal as well. The movement seeks some form of greater autonomy for Hawaii, such as free association or independence from the United States. 317-312-321-322-323. Some groups also advocate some form of redress from the United States for the 1893 overthrow of Queen Liliuokalani, and for what is described as a prolonged military occupation beginning with the 1898 annexation. The apology resolution passed by US Congress in 1993 is cited as a major impetus by the movement for Hawaiian sovereignty. 320, the sovereignty movement considers Hawaii to be